From the years 2010 through 2016, I attended 49 comic book conventions, an average of 7 a year for 7 years. And then in 2017, I got my own table for my 50th convention. At that point, I felt I was priced out of attending a convention as a guest because they had become extremely popular, and the prices for autographs and photographs with the people you would go meet had quintupled. I haven't been back since, but here it is in August of 2021, and I found myself almost attending one yesterday. But I decided not to. I'm going to put it off a little bit more if I go back. But in the meantime, let me show you the photographs and autographs of the people that I've met over the years. We'll start with Star Wars. Here we have Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, with me and my daughter. Kenny Baker, R2-D2. Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia. Anthony Daniels, C-3PO. Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca. David Prowse, Darth Vader. Jake Lloyd, Anakin Skywalker. Brian Muir, the man that sculpted Darth Vader's helmet. Ray Park and Ian McDiarmid, that's Darth Maul and the Emperor. Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian. Jeremy Bullock, Boba Fett. Daniel Logan, the child Boba Fett. John Morton played Dak, who was Luke Skywalker's co-pilot in the Snowspeeder. He was also in the Boba Fett armor during the scene where he talks to Darth Vader. And Dickie Beer, he was also in the Boba Fett armor, but this was in Return of the Jedi for the death scene where he falls into the Sarlacc pit because he was a stuntman. Alan Harris, Bosk. Chris Parsons, Forlom. Kathy Monroe, Zuckus. Paul Blake, Greedo. Garrick Hagan, Biggs Darklighter. Warwick Davis, that's Wicket, the Ewok. Of course, he was also Willow. Deep Roy, he actually played Yoda. I know Yoda was a puppet, but there were some scenes where they had a full-body costume, and that was him. He was also in the R2-D2 suit sometimes. He also played an Ewok, and he played Droopy McCool, part of Max Rebo's band. Eric Bowersfeld, he was the voice of Admiral Akbar. He's the guy that said, "It's a trap!" And here's Tim Rose. He was the Admiral Akbar puppeteer, and he wore the costume. Mark Dodson, he was the puppeteer of Salacious Crumb. Jet Lucas, George Lucas's son. He was also one of the child Jedis in the prequel trilogy, and he came up with the name of Jar Jar Binks. Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker. Dennis Lawson, Wedge Antilles. Angus McGuinness, he was Gold Leader in A New Hope and Rogue One. Mike Quinn, he played Nine Numb, Lando Calrissian's co-pilot in the Millennium Falcon during Return of the Jedi when they blew up the second Death Star. And yes, it's Nine Numb, it's not Nien Numb, because he also played a B-Wing pilot from the same alien race called Ten Numb. And now we have Star Trek. William Shatner, Captain Kirk. Nichelle Nichols, Uhura. George Takei, Sulu. Oh my. Walter Koenig, Chekhov. Grace Lee Whitney, Janice Rand. Robin Curtis, Lieutenant Savick. Patrick Stewart and LeVar Burton, Captain Picard and Geordie LaForge. Why don't I have Patrick Stewart's name on a sticker? That's weird. Michael Dorn, Marina Sirtis, and Jonathan Frakes. That's Worf, Deanna Troi, and Commander Riker. Brent Spiner and Gates McFadden. Data and Dr. Crusher. Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher. Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar. John Delancey, Q. Dwight Schultz. Barkley, he was also Howlin' Mad Murdoch on the A-Team. Jennifer Hetrick, Vash. Tony Todd, that's Worf's brother. Can't remember the character's name. Aw, man. Malcolm McDowell. He was the guy trying to get back into the Nexus in Star Trek Generations, and the guy that killed Captain Kirk. Cyric Lofton and Avery Brooks. That's Jake Sisko and his father, Captain Benjamin Sisko. Terry Farrell, Jadzia Dax. Nana Visitor, Kira Nerys. Renee Aubergenois. Odo. Armin Shimmerman and Max Grodenchik. That's Quark and Rom. Aaron Eisenberg. Nog. Rod Roddenberry. That's Gene Roddenberry's son. Vic Mignogna, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He played Captain Kirk in the web series Star Trek Continues. Michelle Specht, also from Star Trek Continues. Chris Doohan, that's James Doohan's son. James Doohan played Scotty on Star Trek, and Chris Doohan played Scotty on Star Trek Continues. Chuck Huber, he played Dr. McCoy on Star Trek Continues. And there I am on the Enterprise. Now let's do some Buck Rogers. Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray. Buck Rogers and Wilma Deering. Felix Silla, Tweaky. Battlestar Galactica with Richard Hatch, Apollo. Dirk Benedict, Starbuck. He was also Faceman on the A-Team. Herb Jefferson Jr., Boomer. Noah Hathaway, he's Boxy. There's another Noah Hathaway, Boxy again. He also played Atreyu on The Never-Ending Story. Anne Lockhart, Lieutenant Sheba. She's also the daughter of June Lockhart from Lost in Space and Lassie. Kent McCord, he played the grown-up Boxy, Captain Troy, on Galactica 1980. And now it's time for Doctor Who. Sylvester McCoy and Peter Davidson, the 7th and the 5th Doctor. Colin Baker, the 6th Doctor. Paul McCann, the 8th Doctor. And Fraser Hines, he played Jamie McCrimmon, the longest-running Doctor Who companion, who was on 117 episodes. Here I am at the TARDIS. There I am inside a TARDIS. And now for some other science fiction. Lee Majors and Lindsay Wagner. That's the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. Richard Anderson. He played Oscar Goldman, who went back and forth between the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman shows, which were on 2 different networks. Bruce Boxleitner, Tron. Cindy Morgan, Yuri from Tron. David Warner, Sark from Tron. Dan Shore, Ram from Tron. Linda Harrison, Nova from the Planet of the Apes. Ron Harper, who played Alan Verdon on the Planet of the Apes television series, and he also played Uncle Jack in the 3rd season of Land of the Lost. Austin Stoker from Battle for the Planet of the Apes, and he also voiced one of the astronauts in the Return to the Planet of the Apes cartoon series, the only actor in the series from one of the movies. Don Pedro Coley, one of the mutants from Beneath the Planet of the Apes. He was also the hologram that helped them get out of that white room on THX 1138 and then crash the car. And he was Sheriff Little on the Dukes of Hazzard. Lou Wagner, he played Lucius in Planet of the Apes, and he was the mechanic for Ponch and John on Chips. Akara Takarada and Haru Nakajima. Akara was the male lead in the original 1954 Godzilla, and Haru Nakajima was the man in the Godzilla suit for the first 12 Godzilla films over the course of 18 years, and he was also in the Mothra suit. Kenpachiro Satsuma and Tsutomu Kitagawa. Kenpachiro had played various kaiju in 3 different Godzilla films, and then took over for Godzilla when Haru Nakajima retired the role and played him for the next 8 films. Then Tsutomu, who had played King Ghidorah, took over the role of Godzilla for the following 5 films. After that, there would be a 12-year gap before the next Godzilla film, which was called Shin Godzilla, and Godzilla was completely CGI, and there has not been a Godzilla film in Japan since. Bin Furyua, Ultraman. Valerie Perrine, Miss Tessmacher from Superman. Jack O'Halloran, Non from Superman. Sarah Douglas, Ursa from Superman, and she was also the evil queen in Conan the Destroyer. Helen Slater, Supergirl. Dean Cain, Superman, from Lois and Clark. And on Smallville we have Laura Vandervoort and Michael Rosenbaum, Supergirl and Lex Luthor. John Glover and Allison Mack, Lionel Luthor and Chloe. Phil Morris played Martian Manhunter, and he was one of the little kids in the original Star Trek series episode, Miri. His father was on Mission Impossible. Burt Ward and Adam West, Batman and Robin, and the Batmobile. There I am in the 1966 Batmobile. There I am with Michael Keaton's 1989 Batmobile. And the first picture I ever took at a convention. Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk. This was taken with his own Polaroid camera, which he signed, and I've copied it and blown it up here. Here we are years later. Tyler Mane, Sabretooth from the X-Men. Daniel Cudmore, Colossus from the X-Men. Kelly Hu, Lady Deathstrike from the X-Men. She was also in that show Martial Law with Sammo Hung and Arsenio Hall. Doug Jones and Ioan Grufford. The Silver Surfer and Mr. Fantastic. He was also Abe Sapien from Hellboy. William Catt, the greatest American hero. And here we are together again. John Wesley Shipp, The Flash. Debbie Lee Carrington from Total Recall. She's the one that had that machine gun up her skirt on Mars. She also played the Ewok Ramba on Return of the Jedi, and she was in the Ewok TV movies. She was also the Tiny Avenger in 3 episodes of In Living Color, and in the episode The Stand-In from Seinfeld. Joey Lauren Adams from Chasing Amy, but I know her from Top of the Heap, which was a Matt LeBlanc spin-off from Married with Children. Miko Hughes, the star of Pet Sematary. He was also the little boy in Kindergarten Cop that said, "Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina." Tara Reid from Sharknado fame. Tawny Katane. She was on the cover of Rat's Out of the Cellar album, and she was in the video, and then she was in 4 Whitesnake videos and married the lead singer, David Coverdale. Now let's do some Power Rangers. Austin St. John, the Red Power Ranger. Jason David Frank, the Green Power Ranger. And the White Power Ranger. Tammy Frank, his wife. Walter Jones and David Yost, the Black Power Ranger and the Blue Power Ranger. Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Power Ranger. Paul Schreier and Jason Narvi, Bulk and Skull. Barbara Goodson and Robert Anselrod, the voices of Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed. Kerrigan Mahan, the voice of Goldar. Steve Cardenas, the second Red Power Ranger. Hey, I've got that Cobra Kai shirt. Kat Sutherland, the second Pink Power Ranger. And Nakia Burrese, the second Yellow Power Ranger. David Newell, Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Carol Spinney, Oscar the Grouch, and Big Bird. Bob McGrath, Bob from Sesame Street. Emilio Delgado, Luis from Sesame Street. Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster, and he was also the star of the Sid and Marty Krofft show, Lidsville. Here he is again. Kathy Coleman, Holly from Land of the Lost. Rusty Goff, he was an Oompa Loompa on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Denise Nickerson, Paris Themin, Michael Bolner, Julie Dawn Cole, and Peter Ostrom. These are the 5 kids from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Diana Soul, this was Charlie's grandmother in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Scotty Schwartz, from A Christmas Story. He got his tongue stuck to the pole. And here he is again. Remember, he was the little boy in The Toy with Richard Pryor. Anthony Michael Hall, from 16 Candles and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Dana Barron from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Chris Sarandon, the voice of Jack Skellington from A Nightmare Before Christmas. And Ken Page, the voice of Oogie Boogie from A Nightmare Before Christmas. Antonio Fargas, Paul Michael Glazer, and David Soul. That's Huggy Bear, Starsky, and Hutch. And there I am with the car. Michael Talbot from Miami Vice. John Deal from Miami Vice. Sandra Santiago from Miami Vice. And Olivia Brown from Miami Vice. Steve Williams from 21 Jump Street. James Tolkien, Leah Thompson, and Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. Claudia Wells from Back to the Future. And there I am in the DeLorean with a hoverboard. John Schneider, Catherine Bach, and Tom Wopat. That's Bo, Daisy, and Luke Duke. And there I am in the General Lee. Karen Allen, Marion Ravenwood from Indiana Jones. John Rhys Davies, Sala from Indiana Jones. Sean Patrick Flannery, the young Indiana Jones. Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso, the Karate Kid. William Zabka, Joey Lawrence from the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. Martin Kove, Sensei John Kreese. Dee Wallace, the mom on E.T., also the mom on Cujo. C. Thomas Howell, the brother on E.T. Erika Eleniak. Yes, she was on Baywatch. Yes, she climbed out of the cake on Under Siege. But she was also the little dream girl that Elliot kissed in E.T. when all the frogs were released. Keir Dullea and Gary Lockwood. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Gary Lockwood was also in the William Shatner pilot of the original Star Trek series. Peter Weller, RoboCop. And he was also Buckaroo Banzai. Nancy Allen, RoboCop. Dawn Wells and Barbara Eden. That's Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island. And Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie. Mike Lookinland and Susan Olsen. Bobby and Cindy Brady from the Brady Bunch. Lonnie Anderson and Howard Hessman from WKRP in Cincinnati. John Provost. That's Timmy from Lassie. Ike Eisenman from Escape from Witch Mountain and Return to Witch Mountain. Director John Carpenter. Timac from Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. John Amos from Roots, Good Times, and Coming to America. James Hampton from Teen Wolf. PJ Souls from Stripes and Halloween. Catherine Mary Stewart from The Last Starfighter. Priscilla Barnes, the nurse roommate from Three's Company. Come and knock on my door. Corin Nemec, Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Joe Turkel from The Shining and Blade Runner. Vernon Wells from Mad Max. John Heder, Napoleon Dynamite. Tobin Bell, Jigsaw from the Saw franchise. Skeet Ulrich from Takedown, the movie about Kevin Mitnick. He was also in the Scream movies. John Shepp, writer, director, creator of the Superman Lives documentary. Ron Perlman, Beast from Beauty and the Beast with Linda Hamilton, and also Hellboy. Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor from The Terminator, and Beauty and the Beast. Here we are again. Edward Furlong, John Connor from Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Zach Galligan from Gremlins. Sandal Bergman from the Conan movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Olivia d'Abo, not only from Conan the Destroyer, but she was the older sister Karen on the Wonder Years. Corey Feldman from Friday the 13th, The Gremlins, The Goonies, and Stand By Me. Sean Astin from The Goonies and The Lord of the Rings. Billy Boyd from Lord of the Rings. Manu Bennett from The Hobbit. Tom Felton, Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter. Jason Isaacs from Harry Potter. Martine Beswick from the James Bond movies From Russia with Love and Thunderball. Luciana Paluzzi from Thunderball. Caroline Munro from the James Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me and the Ray Harryhausen film The Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Miriam Diabo from the James Bond film The Living Daylights. Tia Carrera from Wayne's World. Mimi Rogers from Austin Powers. She was also Tom Cruise's first wife. Vern Troyer, Mini-Me from Austin Powers. Fabiana Udenio from Austin Powers. Martin Landau, Mission Impossible and Space 1999. Peter Lupus from Mission Impossible. Julie Benz from Sylvester Stallone's Rambo 4. And Charisma Carpenter from Sylvester Stallone's The Expendables. Milo Ventimiglia. He played Rocky's son in Sylvester Stallone's Rocky 6 and Creed 2. Burt Reynolds himself, my acting teacher. And there we are with the Bandit car. Ernie Hudson, Ghostbusters. Henry Winkler, The Fonz. Van Williams, The Green Hornet. Kelly LeBrock from Weird Science. Adrian Paul, The Highlander. Sam Jones, Flash Gordon. Gordon's alive! Michael Jai White, Black Dynamite. Eric Roberts from Best of the Best 1 and 2. Michael Berryman, many roles. Rico Browning, he was the creature from the Black Lagoon. Julie Adams, she was the girl in Creature from the Black Lagoon. John Astin, Gomez Adams from the Addams Family. Lisa Loring, Tuesday Addams. Pat Priest and Butch Patrick from the Munsters. Nick Castle, he played Michael Myers in the Halloween movies. He directed The Last Starfighter, and he wrote Escape from New York, directed by John Carpenter. Ari Lehman, he was the little boy Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th. Tom Savini, horror movie makeup artist. Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger. Alex Vincent from Child's Play. John Franklin and Courtney Gaines from Children of the Corn. Lisa and Louise Burns from The Shining. Cassandra Peterson, Elvira. John Kassir, The Crypt Keeper. And Oliver Robbins from Poltergeist. Let's do some musicians. Weird Al Yankovic. Davy Jones from the Monkees. Peter Tork from the Monkees. Lita Ford from the Runaways and her solo career. Sherry Curie from the Runaways, and she was also in Twilight Zone the movie. She was the girl with no mouth. Stephen Percy, the singer for Rat. Rudy Sarzo, the bassist for Whitesnake, Ozzy Osbourne, and Quiet Riot. Alice Cooper. Kiss Nation, a Kiss tribute band. Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC. And now some wrestlers. Rowdy Roddy Piper. Diamond Dallas Page. Kevin Nash. Mick Foley. Goldberg. Hey, my arm's bigger than yours. How about some G.I. Joe? Larry Hama, writer of every single issue of G.I. Joe comics and every file card on the back of the action figures. There we are again. Ron Rudat, designer of every single G.I. Joe action figure for its first 6 years. Sergeant Slaughter. Greg Burnson, G.I. Joe vehicle designer. Mark Pennington, G.I. Joe character designer after Ron Rudat. Michael Bell, the voice of G.I. Joe's Duke. He was also Zan from the Wonder Twins, Grouchy and Handy Smurf, and Lance and Sven from Voltron. B.J. Ward, the voice of Scarlet from G.I. Joe, and she was Jaina of the Wonder Twins. Arthur Burghardt, the voice of Destro. Morgan Lofting, the voice of the Baroness. Keone Young, the voice of Storm Shadow. Chuck McCann. Not only was he the voice of Leatherneck in G.I. Joe, who was the character based on the look of character designer Ron Rudat, but he was also co-star with Bob Denver, Gilligan, on the Sid and Marty Krofft show, Far Out Space Nuts. Hank Garrett, the voice of Dial Tone. Dan Klingensmith Jr., G.I. Joe author. Brian Lower, HCC 788, and his family. G.I. Joe YouTube personality. Christopher McLeod, G.I. Joe podcast personality. Now let's do some other cartoons. Shannon Farnan, the voice of Wonder Woman from the Super Friends. Greg Berger, Grimlock from the Transformers. Larry Kenney, Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats. And he also voiced Jackalman. Peter Newman, voice of Tigra, Monkeyin, Wily Kit, and Bengali from the Thundercats. Alan Oppenheimer, the voice of Skeletor and Man-at-Arms from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. He was also the voice of Falkor, the Luck Dragon in the Never-Ending Story. And he played Dr. Rudy Wells in The $6 Million Man. Tom Cook, animator on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Billy West, the voice of Stimpy on Ren and Stimpy. Bob Camp, co-creator of Ren and Stimpy. And he was also the cover artist to my favorite issue of the G.I. Joe comic run, issue 11. Sean Schemmel, the voice of Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Christopher Sabat, the voice of Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. Monica Rial, the voice of Bulma from Dragon Ball Z. Samantha Newark, the voice of Jem from Jem and the Holograms. George Lowe, the voice of Space Ghost from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. C. Martin Croker, the voice of Zorak and Moltar from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Sean Hannon, the voice of Necron from Ralph Bakshi and Frank Frazetta's Fire and Ice. Maggie Roswell, the voice of Tigra from Fire and Ice. Hal Rail, Maggie Roswell's husband, and the voice of Snarl and Shrapnel from the Transformers and Deep Six from G.I. Joe. Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson. Dan Gilvison, the voice of Bumblebee from the Transformers, and Spider-Man from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from Batman the Animated Series. Rob Paulson, Townsend Coleman, Cam Clark, and Barry Gordon, the voices of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Phil Lamar, the voice of Samurai Jack. Tom Kane, the voice of Professor Plutonium from the Powerpuff Girls, and we share the same birthday. Roger Bumpus, the voice of Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants. Joel Adams, animator on King of the Hill and son of famous comic book artist Neil Adams. The one and only Stan Lee. Comic writer and editor Jim Shooter. Comic artist John Romita Jr. Comic artist and co-creator of Deadpool Rob Liefeld. Comic writer and co-creator of Deadpool Fabian Nicieza. Comic artist Whilce Portacio. Comic artist Jay Lee. Comic artist and legend Neil Adams. ElfQuest comic creators Wendy and Richard Pinney. Comic artist Frank Bruner. Comic artist Jim Steranko. Comic artist Simon Bisley. Comic writer Jerry Conway. Comic artist Nick Cardy. Comic artist Al Plastino. Comic artist Alan Bellman. Comic artist Bill Sienkiewicz. Comic artist Bernie Wrightson. Comic artist George Perez. Comic artist Keith Pollard. Comic artist Bob McLeod. Comic artist Al Milgram. Comic writer Danny Fingeroth. Comic artist Mike Grell. Comic artist Mike Zeck. Comic artist John Beatty. Comic artist Art Adams. Author Andrew E.C. Gasca. Painter Joe Jusko. Comic artist Michael Golden. Comic artist Arthur Soydum. Comic writer Mark Wade. Comic artist Bob Layton. Comic artist Joe Rubenstein. Comic artist Carl Potts. Comic artist Tim Vigil. Comic artist Mike Perkins. Comic artist Mark Bagley. Comic artist Scotty Young. Comic artist Adam Riches. Comic artist Alex Nino. Writer of just about every single issue of the X-Men ever, Chris Claremont. Comics writer and editor Roy Thomas. Comics writer Peter David. Comics writer Marv Wolfman. Comic writer Ron Mars. Comic artist Keith Giffen. Comic artist Mark Texiera. Comic artist J. Scott Campbell. Creator, writer, and artist of Knights of the Dinner Table, Jolly Blackburn. Doctor Who author Terrence Dix. Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. Star Wars author Kevin J. Anderson. Star Wars author Terry Brooks. Star Wars author R.A. Salvatore. Creator of Dungeons & Dragons Ravenloft, Tracy Hickman. Kiss album cover painter and the only student of Frank Frazetta, Ken Kelly. Frank Frazetta's daughter, Holly Frazetta, at her first appearance ever. Frank Frazetta's oldest granddaughter, Sarah Frazetta. And here we are again at a Frazetta exhibit. And here's Frank Frazetta's daughter and 3 granddaughters. Brittany Frazetta, Holly Frazetta, Sarah Frazetta, and Rachel Frazetta. Artist and son of Ralph Bakshi, Eddie Bakshi. Stephen E. Gordon, animation director and character designer on Ralph Bakshi and Frank Frazetta's Fire and Ice. That's a Fire and Ice shirt I'm wearing. Painter Basil Gogos. Artist William Stout. Dungeons & Dragons artist Jeff Easley. Dungeons & Dragons artist Larry Elmore. Quadriplegic mouth painter Miriam Perret. My Miss Bonita Springs 1967 co-star, Tracy A. Johnson, here at our table at my 50th convention. YouTube and podcast toy personality Daniel Pickett. Disney-employed cosplayer Matt Kay. Independent artist Sean Aline. Tattoo artist Mark Draven. That's me in the Time Machine. That's me in the Millennium Falcon with R2-D2. That's me with the Green Goblin front piece from that semi in the Stephen King movie Maximum Overdrive. There I am at Daniel LaRusso's apartment complex from The Karate Kid. That's as close as I could climb up to the Hollywood sign. Here I am with Bruce Lee's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. There I am on the top of the Empire State Building. Here I am with the Statue of Liberty. Here I am at the entrance of the Dakota Building in New York City, where John Lennon was gunned down. Here I am with my friend Sean Gavin, and local Art Nouveau artist Echo Chernick. She's on my city's Wikipedia page. Well, that was a lot, so maybe in the next video we'll get to all my autographs. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.